Once upon a time, in a quiet and beautiful village named Greenford, lived a poor but honest woodcutter named Daniel. He was known throughout the village for his integrity and hard work. He never lied, never cheated, and was always grateful for the little he had. Daniel lived in a small house with his wife Elena and their 2 young children. Every day, he worked for a wealthy merchant, Mr. Hawthorne, cutting wood in the forest for just enough wages to keep his family fed. One morning, as Daniel prepared for work, Elena approached him with a worried look. "Daniel," she said, "the children's school fees are overdue. The teacher warned me today that if we don't pay by tomorrow, they won't be allowed to attend class anymore." Daniel sighed, the weight of her words settling heavily on his shoulders. "Elena, you know how little I earn. After we pay for food and rent, there's barely anything left." Elena's voice was soft but firm. "I understand, but our expenses are rising. Food costs more, and the children's education is so important. You need to talk to Mr. Hawthorne. You must ask for a raise." Daniel nodded slowly. He knew she was right. "All right," he said, "I'll speak to him today." When Daniel reached the forest, he found the other woodcutters looking tense and anxious. "Today is payday," one of them muttered. "Just watch. Mr. Hawthorne will make some excuse again." Another woodcutter replied angrily, "Last month he cut my wages just because I took one day off when my son was sick." Daniel listened quietly, but he felt the same knot of fear tightening in his own stomach. They all knew Mr. Hawthorne's reputation for being unfair. After a long, grueling day of work, the woodcutters gathered to receive their pay. Mr. Hawthorne stood before them, his expression cold. "I don't have the money right now," he announced. "The wood hasn't been sold yet. Come back in a day or two." Disappointed and frustrated, the workers had no choice but to return home empty-handed. 2 days later, they gathered again. This time, Mr. Hawthorne paid them, but his methods were cruel and unjust. One worker received less money simply for taking a short rest. Another lost half his wages for missing a single day. When Daniel's turn came, he stared at the few coins in his palm in disbelief. "Sir," he said politely, trying to keep his voice steady, "this is much less than what you promised." "I worked my full hours. I haven't taken any leave." Mr. Hawthorne sneered. "Wood prices are low. This is all I can give you. Take it or leave it. You can always find work somewhere else if you're not happy." With a heavy heart, Daniel knew he had no other choice. He took the meager payment and left without another word. That evening, Daniel explained the situation to Elena. The small amount of money wouldn't even cover their rent, let alone the school fees. "This can't go on," he said, his voice filled with desperation. "I'll have to find extra work after my job in the forest." The next day, after finishing his work for Mr. Hawthorne, Daniel walked through the village, going from shop to shop, from house to house, asking for any odd job he could find. But everywhere he went, the answer was the same: "Sorry, no work available." Tired and hopeless, Daniel began the long walk home, the weight of his failure pressing down on him. As he walked along the edge of the forest, a sudden stampede of wild animals came charging toward him. Terrified, Daniel scrambled for safety, diving into the dark mouth of a nearby cave. He huddled inside, his heart pounding, until the sounds of the animals faded away. As his breathing returned to normal and his eyes adjusted to the gloom, he noticed something strange. There, nestled against the far wall of the cave, was a basket. Curiosity got the better of him. He stepped closer, his hand reaching out to touch it. Just as his fingers brushed the woven surface, a deep voice echoed through the cave, "Stop. Do not touch that." Daniel leapt back in fear. A shimmering, mysterious spirit materialized before him. "Who are you?" the spirit asked, its voice resonating with ancient power. "And why have you entered my cave?" Daniel, though frightened, bowed respectfully. He explained everything: his poverty, his honest work, the cruelty of his employer, and how he had stumbled into the cave only to save his life. The spirit listened intently, its expression softening. When Daniel finished, it smiled. "You are truthful and pure of heart," the spirit said. "That is why you were able to enter this sacred place." The spirit then gestured toward the basket. "This is a magical basket. It has a special power. Once you place an item inside it, only that same type of item can ever be placed in it again. The basket will then multiply it. But be warned, greed will destroy its magic forever." Daniel looked at the spirit with wide, earnest eyes. "I don't desire great riches," he said humbly. "I only want enough to provide for my family and live without worrying." The spirit nodded in understanding and then vanished as silently as it had appeared. Daniel, filled with a mix of awe and hope, carefully picked up the basket and carried it home. He showed it to Elena and recounted the incredible story. They sat together for a long time, thinking about what to do. They knew they had only one chance to choose what the basket would multiply. Finally, Daniel had an idea. "Elena, do you remember that single piece of rare, fragrant sandalwood I found years ago? I saved it because it was so special. Let's place that inside." Elena agreed. It was a valuable item, but not money itself. It represented their hard work and appreciation for nature. Daniel carefully placed the piece of wood into the basket. Instantly, the basket filled to the brim with identical pieces of fragrant sandalwood. Elena gasped, "Daniel, it's a miracle." The next morning, Daniel took the wood to the market. He sold it at a fair price, earning more than enough to pay the children's school fees, buy food for the week, and even save some money. Elena smiled, a look of pure relief on her face. "You don't have to work for Mr. Hawthorne anymore," she said joyfully. Daniel smiled back, but his expression was thoughtful. "You're right," he said, "but I can't forget the other woodcutters. They are suffering just as I was." So, Daniel went to his fellow workers and invited them to join him. He used the basket to create a steady supply of wood, and together, they worked honestly, shared the profits fairly, and supported one another. Soon, their small venture grew, and the lives of all the woodcutters and their families improved dramatically. They learned that true success isn't just about personal gain, but about lifting others up with you. And so, the honest woodcutter and his magical basket brought prosperity and happiness not just to his own family, but to the entire community. The story of Daniel teaches us that honesty and patience are always rewarded in the end. While greed leads to suffering, kindness and collaboration lead to shared growth. True success is found when we rise by lifting others. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that inspire. See you next time.